Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome back. Welcome back to our Learn to Code course, where we've been learning to code from scratch. This is like the fifth video. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. In the past, we looked at HTML. We looked at CSS. We looked at creating forms. In this lesson, we're going to learn about the CSS Box Model, and this will be done by building this Rothko painting. Not sure what that is, but yeah, we'll be doing that. I don't think I've ever done this course. They add new sections to their courses, and so let's just take this apart together. Every HTML element is its own box with its own spacing and a border. This is called the box model. Let me see. Put on do not disturb here. All right. So in this course, we'll use CSS and the box model to create your own Rothko style rectangular art pieces. Make sure I'm good here. We're live. We're going to start the project now. So here's a preview of what we will build. I'm not sure what it is. I'm sure we're just going to be using the CSS box model to understand boxes in CSS and how everything's kind of split into elements, and those elements can be styled visually. So our step one, let me read this. By now, you should be familiar with the basic elements an HTML page should have. Set up your code with a doc type declaration, an HTML element with the language set to English, a head element, and a body element. So again, if any of these things are new to you, then I suggest starting this course from the beginning. You can find that in my playlists. I've organized the different sections of freeCodeCamp in the past in my playlists, and this one included. So you can see the first few parts of this responsive web design should have that same thumbnail image background thing, and you'll find the rest of them. But okay, step one. By now, you should be familiar. Okay, yeah, we read that. We're doing the declaration, right? So here we do our declaration by boom. All right, and it's doc type HTML. So set your code to have doc type HTML element, language set to English. Okay, so doc type, and then we're gonna have our HTML. You know what? I think we could just do, if I'm not wrong, I might be able to do this. Something like this. Okay. Oh, yeah, no. This is supposed to be... Alright, that should work now. Okay, so we've learned this in the last few lessons, but just to go over it again, every HTML document. So this could be a folder on our desktop. That folder contains one file, index.html, and it's going to have some lines of code in it. we should be able to open this and open that file, and it will open up in our browser as long as it has that .html at the end. So every HTML document has that doc type HTML declaration at the top, and then we have our, it let us pass this, but we actually did it wrong. The body goes inside of the HTML document, and this should have been indented. So this is actually the proper way. So if you guys did it like I did it, it was wrong, but now this is the right way. The body goes inside of the HTML. Everything is going to be inside of our HTML document. So we can submit, go to the next one, step 2. Step 2, within the head element, add a meta tag which sets the char set to UTF-8 and the title element with the value Rothko Painting. Rothko. I think it's actually it because there's TH, right? Rothko Painting. Within the body element, add an image element with the source of and this source. So let's copy the source they give us and then go into our body, add an image, and we're doing source. So we have our image here. Let's run that. Oh, we forgot the meta tag. Or the meta attribute. Oh no, yeah, it's a meta tag. In the head, we're adding a meta. I'm not sure if those are self-closing, but char set UTF-8 and the title element with the value of Rothko Painting. Alright, maybe now? Okay, that's good. Continue. In the CSS Box Model, every HTML element is treated as a box with 4 areas. Imagine you receive a box from your favorite online retailer. The content is the item in the box, or in our case, a header paragraph. A header, paragraph, or image element. Change the source attribute in the image from the source we gave it to this new source. So let's copy this new source, and in our image we're gonna paste the new source here. Check it, and we do pass. So let's continue. And step 4, the content is surrounded by a space called padding. Similar to how bubble wrap separates an item from the box around it, think of the border like the cardboard box your item was shipped in. The source attribute, or change the source attribute to this. So now we're changing it one more time. Okay. Let's run that. And we do pass it. Margin is the area outside of the box and can be used to control the space between other boxes or elements. It's here, right? Here the bottom element has a larger top margin, pushing it further down the page. So here we have the margin, the top margin this much, and this one we have it a larger top margin, so it pushes it farther down the page. Now that you understand the CSS box model, let's get started on the Rothko painting. Remove the image element. Okay, I guess they made that a step. Step 6, add a div element in the body. Set the class attribute equal to canvas. For example, div class equals my div. This will act as the canvas for your painting. So we're in the body, right? Because line 7 is the body, and then line 9 is the closing body. We're in line 8. That's good. We're going to go div class canvas and then close div. Run this, and it could be on the next line, doesn't matter, right? So we pass that, go to the next one. Before you can start styling the div you added, you need to link your CSS to your HTML. Add a link element to link your styles.css file. Set the href to styles.css, and remember to set the route attribute to style sheet. So we're in our head because we're in line 6. The rest of our code's down here. We're adding this link, so this will link to our CSS file, which isn't created yet, but in the next step we will see it. So here we're linking So right now, from within our index.html file, where all this code is, we're saying, hey, we want to link to styles.css file, which we're going to create in a few. But let's not forget to also give rel style sheet. And that should do it. We pass, continue. Step 8 is telling us time for CSS. Even though your div has no text, it's still treated as a box with content. Write a CSS rule that uses the .canvas class selector and set its width to 500 pixels. Here's a CSS rule that sets the width of the class card to 300 pixels. So here we're grabbing the class called card, and we're giving that any element with that class a width of 300 pixels. So if we go to line 1, the first thing that we're going to do, I'm guessing select canvas. Oh yeah, set canvas to 500 pixels. Oops. Okay, and we do pass. Even though we can't see anything yet, let's just continue and see. Add the height property with the value 600 pixels to your canvas rule. And it's empty, right? That div we created doesn't have nothing in it, but we're still doing some magic in here. Height. Oh wait, so we're still in the canvas selector, and we're going to give it a height of 600 pixels. Okay, check it, and we pass. 10, change the background color of the canvas to that right there. So let's do that. And that is that color we saw before. Check it, pass. Step 11, every painting needs a frame. Wrap the .canvas element in another div. Give the div the frame class. Alright, so we're in the body, and here's that div we created. They want us to wrap the .canvas element in another div. So, line 9, we're going to do another div. Close it, and then indent this to know that it's within that other div, just for clarity. Check it, Oh, it doesn't pass. Oh, we need the frame class. Check. Pass. Step 12. Write a new rule using the .frame class selector. Use the border shorthand declaration to give the .frame element a solid black border with a width of 50 pixels. I don't even know what the border shorthand. Oh yeah, I think I do. Let me see. So we're writing. So we up here 1 through 5 is the dot canvas selector. Now we're doing a dot frame selector, and that's gonna select that new, be able to select that new div element we created, and we're gonna give it using border. I'm guessing an element of solid black, solid. I don't think it's solid black 50 pixels. Maybe it is. So yeah, the shorthand allows us to just say the word border, and then there's a specific order that you give it its argument, and it's going to give us those things. I mean, it's just easier than having to do the border color and then the border size. You could just do it all in one line. But again, if you didn't want to set, if you only wanted like to say border solid or border 50 pixels, there would be other ways of doing that. This is just a shorthand if you just want to set all of them at one time. And then let's check it, and we pass. Step 13, the frame is much too wide. In dot frame, set its width to 500 pixels. So we're in dot frame, and we're gonna set width to 500 pixels. Okay, so now we see now step 14, use padding to adjust the spacing within an element. In dot frame, use the padding. Let me just check something here. Okay, so use padding to adjust the spacing within an element. In dot frame, use the padding shorthand property. So similar, the shorthand property, padding has one. Instead of doing everything separate, like padding top and setting it, padding bottom and setting it, padding left and setting it, you could just use the shorthand. And we'll go over that right now. So we're increasing the space between the dot frame and dot canvas elements by 50 pixels. The shorthand will increase space in the top, bottom, left, and right of the element's border and canvas within. So we're in dot frame. So in there we're going to do padding and using the shorthand property. Top and bottom, I believe, is the first argument here. So 50 pixels, and the shorthand will increase space on the top, bottom, left, right. Okay, so it's saying just do all of them at one time. Let's check it, and we do pass. Step 15, use margins to adjust the spacing outside of an element. Using the margin property, give the dot frame element vertical margin of 20 pixels and horizontal margin of auto. This will move the frame down 20 pixels and horizontally center it on the page. So kind of like zooming this out to give us a better idea and see if anything moves. So in here we're using margin. We're in the dot frame selector, so this will apply to that. 20 pixels. So first 20 pixels, it's gonna do the vertical margin, and then the second argument here would be auto, and this is gonna move the frame down 20, which we just saw, and horizontally center it on the page. So let's say auto. Cool. Now if I move this, it should remain centered. Yep. Let's semicolon and check. And we pass. Add a new div element inside of your .canvas element. Give the new div the class attribute with a value of 1. This will be your first rectangle. So we're doing a new div, and that's going to be inside of, let's see, add a new div element inside of your canvas element. So here's canvas, and inside there, we're in line 11, we're going to do another div. This is going to have the class 1. Check it, pass. Write a new rule that targets .1 and set its width to 425 pixels. So same, 1 selector with 425 pixels. Run that, we do pass, 18. Now set the height for .1 to 150 pixels. So as you see, we're kind of repeating stuff, or repeating similar paradigm or model of border with padding. Oh wait, not border. With height. Yeah, right, because this has width. Well, not all of them have width height. Anyways, set the background color of .1. So background color EFB762. We do pass. 20. Use margins to position the .1 element on the canvas. Add the shorthand margin property with a vertical margin of 20 pixels. Margin 20 pixels and horizontal margin of auto. Run it, pass. Now .1 is centered horizontally, but its top margin is pushing past the canvas and onto the frame's border, shifting the entire canvas down 20 pixels. Add padding of 1 pixel. So padding 1 pixel. We're already in the canvas here. I think that's it. Yep. 22. Adding 1 pixel of padding to the top, bottom, left, and right of the canvas changes dimensions to 502 pixels by 602. Replace the padding property with overflow set to hidden, changing the canvas back to its original dimensions. So instead of auto, it's overflow. I did something wrong. Oh, overflow set to hidden. Replace the padding property with overflow. I guess it's got the dogs in the background. Overflow set to hidden. Oh, yeah. Don't use this overflow property too much, but let's see. We pass it. Add another div with a class value of 2 just below your 1 element. This will be your second rectangle. So I'm adding another div with a class value. So I'm adding that div. Where's this div at? Yeah, it's in the inside of canvas. Oh, and it's in the, no, it's not on the inside of that one. So, okay. It's going to be here then. And we're giving it a class of 2. Run, pass. 24, create a new CSS rule using the 2 selector. So 2 width 475. Check it, pass. Height, I need there were some similarities to these. 200 pixels just kind of makes sense in looking at that, how it should look in the beginning. Set the background color of the dot 2 element. So background color AF0401. Check it. Continue. Center the dot 2 element by setting its margin to auto. So we're in the dot 2 class and we're setting the margin to auto. Check. We pass. Continue. Kind of want to zoom out. It keeps showing it. Oh, I don't want to zoom out too much. So create a new div with a class value of 3 right under the dot 2 element. This will be your third rectangle. So we're creating another div, and they're all inside of the canvas. So we don't want to keep indenting or anything. And there's going to be class equals 3 close div. Check it. We pass. 29. You don't always have to use pixels when sizing an element. Create a new rule dot 3, and then we're setting the width of this 91, and this styles.css, remember, it's a new file we created that we link to and we have access to, and that's how this is all working, right? Dot 3, check, pass. Step 30, set the height of the dot 3 to 28%. So height, oh wait, yeah, we're already in the dot 3 selector. Now we're doing the height, 28%, 28%. Check it. 31, change the background color. So, and then background color to hash B20403. Check, pass. 32, center the dot 3 element on the canvas by setting its margin to auto. Check, pass. It's helpful to have your margins push in one direction. In this case, the bottom margin of the dot 1 element pushes dot 2 down 20 pixels. In the dot 2 selector, use margin shorthand property to set top margins to 0, horizontal margin auto, and bottom margins to 20 pixels. This will remove its top margin horizontally, center it, and set its bottom margin to 20 pixels. Okay, so we're in the dot 2 selector, use margin shorthand. So instead of auto, it's going to be margin I don't know. I'm going to just leave that. I don't know if that matters, but I'm going to do margin top margin top. It says to use the shorthand. Use margin shorthand. So here, set the top margin to 0. Horizontal margin. I don't know how to do this one. Use margin shorthand to set the top margin to 0. Horizontal margin to auto, and bottom margin. Because I know top, using the margin shorthand, I know you could use 4 different, okay, it's like top, right, bottom, left, or something like that. So let me just, but it only gives me 3 things. Horizontals left and right, so would that be like 0 auto 20 pixels? Huh. I guess this one, but I guess this works. I'm not sure how it works, but I just followed the order that it shows up on, and it's the margin shorthand. But I guess this allowed me to set the top to 0. Auto here is going to be the horizontal margin, and then the bottom So auto would be the left right, I'm guessing, and the bottom one is at 20. Interesting. Let's continue. The colors and shapes of your paintings are too sharp to pass as a Rothko. Use the filter property to blur the painting by 2 pixels in the canvas element. Here's an example of a rule that adds 3 pixels blur. So we're adding, I guess, filter blur 2 pixels. And that did give us that blur. We go next. Create a rule that targets both dot 1 and create a rule that targets both dot 1 and dot 2 and increases their blur effect by 1 pixel. So we're targeting dot 1 and I don't know if there's a comma, dot 2. And that's how we target 2 selectors, 2 classes really, and increase the blurs. So how do I do the blur? Is it filter and then blur? I already forgot. 1 pixel, hopefully. Yep, that's how you do it. Step 36, increase the blur of dot 3 by 2 pixels. So dot 3. Oh, we're already in dot 3. Alright, 2 pixels. Check. Oh, check that. We pass. Step 37, the rectangles are too small and their edges don't have the soft quality of a painting. Increase the area and soften the edges of one by setting its box shadow to 003 pixels. 3. What the heck is that? I don't know what that means, but let's try it. Box shadow 003 pixels. So does it even let me do all these? I've never seen so many arguments provided to the selector rule. 7, 6, 2. I don't even think that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe 3 pixels doesn't need to be on there twice. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Box shadow. Oh, it's missing the damn. Alright, so maybe it did need that 3 pixels here. Alright, I guess it was like that. So, I mean, I would look up box shadow. I'm not that interested in it, but if you look up, let's just do it. I'll see why it has so many, why it takes so many arguments. So if you look up box shadow, 1, 2, 3, so properties that it takes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Spread radius 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's making sense. And you could give it a bunch. Multiple shadows. Okay. So again, this is something I haven't really used like that, but it's interesting to know that you could apply box shadows in this way, and even multiple box shadows. I mean, it kind of makes sense now that I'm thinking about it, but let's continue. 38. Use the same box shadow declaration for the dot 2, but change the color from this one to this one. So we're inside of dot 2. We're going to use box shadow, and we're going to do the same 003 pixel, 3 pixel, and we're changing the color to this new color, EFB 762. Boom, nice. And I screwed it up. 3 pixel, 3 pixel. Copy this, make sure I got it right. There it is. Alright, we pass. 39. Add a box shadow to dot 3 with the value 005 pixel. Okay. Copy that. Paste. And we pass that. Step 40. The corners of each rectangle are still too sharp. Round each corner of the dot 1 element by 9 pixels using the border radius property. So I don't know what border radius property is, but hopefully I could just give it 9 pixels. Yeah. And this is applying to what? To the dot 1 class. Okay. See it right here for sure. The roundness. Step 41 says use the border radius property on the dot 2 selector to set its top left and bottom right radius to 8 pixels and top right and bottom left radius to 10 pixels. So border radius, we're inside the dot 2 selector, top left and bottom right to 8 pixels. So I'm guessing that one's first, and top right and bottom left to 10 pixels. Is that a shorthand thing? Yep, it is. And that's for this one here on the dot 2, and we can see that very well. It's blurred, so it's hard to see. 42. Got 3 more of these. So the border radius property accepts up to 4 values to round the top left, top right, and bottom left corners. The border radius property accepts up to 4 values to round the top left, and bottom left corners. Okay, round the top left corner of dot 3 to 30 pixels. The top left of dot 3, which we're inside of. Let's just write this real quick. So border radius, and we're giving it 30 pixels, 25 pixels, 60 pixels, and 12 pixels. Hopefully they're in order. Yep, and they are. And we see that each one of these has a different border radius. 43. Rotate each rectangle to give them more of an imperfect hand-painted look. Rotate each rectangle. Okay. Use the transform property on the dot 1. So we're in dot 1 here, and we're gonna rotate it. And I'm thinking it takes this 0.6 degrees. Is that it? Nope. So I want it to negative. Oh, I guess we use negative to do counterclockwise, negative 0.6, and then we gotta type in degrees. And we see that tilt there. Cool, check it. Still not passing. Oh, okay, it looks like this has to be in parentheses. So it's transform, and we're doing rotate, and that's in parentheses. And then we could check it, and now we do pass. So there's the transform property, and it allows us to select the dot 1 class, and we rotate it counterclockwise 0.6 degrees. Step 44, rotate the dot 2 element clockwise by 0.4 degrees. So we're using the transform again, and we are rotating. So rotate clockwise, so I think that wouldn't be negative, so 0.4 degrees. I don't know if that's right, but it is. So we are right. Shouldn't doubt ourselves. Step 45, rotate dot 3 counterclockwise So now we're in the negatives again. Point 2, with this final step, your Rothko painting is now complete. So dot 3, and let's zoom this out so we can take it in as it finishes. Okay, so it's kind of taking that whole thing up. So we're in the dot 3 selector. We're going to do transform again. And we're going to give that 0. Oh, it's negative 0.2 degrees. And I didn't really see anything happen, but I'm sure that, oh, we forgot to say rotate. Alright, and now we should be able to pass this, and we did pass, and that completes our Rothko painting. So in this, we've went over the CSS Box Model and basically how we can select elements in our page, and we could see where those we set the width and height of like one div, which we gave a class of 1. We set the width of another element that we add with a class of 2, another div element, and we did that multiple times, and we're able to see how the CSS box model allows us to control that visual aspect of our page. So we'll continue this. We'll continue the responsive web design in another video. But thanks for joining. Make sure to check out the course from the beginning if you haven't seen that yet. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.